you're about to watch a free training that I did in my private Facebook group a while back. And this training is about an hour long. And in the training, I'm going to be sharing with you why it's so important to build a career and a business based on purpose. And I'm going to talk with you about what it really means to live a purpose, to live a life built on what you love doing and how fulfilling that really is, and how you can turn that fulfillment and that joy of what you do into a profitable and consistently profitable business. That's very important, consistently. So if at any point in time you felt like you're doing something that you actually don't really like doing, you work in a job because you feel like you have to, you have all these fears around security and stability, and mostly financial stability. You're not really sure why you're doing stuff. You want to do something which fulfills you more. You want to take your life in a different direction. Then this training is really going to help you. And as a part of this training, you will be required to do some homework. I'm going to talk about that homework in the end of the session, but I'll also talk to you about it now. When you finish watching this hour training, please make sure that you write down half a page on what you truly want to manifest for yourself in the next 6 months. Like, if money wasn't an issue, if you had no doubts, no fears, no insecurities, no worries, what is it that you would want to create for yourself? And that's really the point from which we always want to be creating stuff, because all the fear, all the anxiety, all the doubt, all the self-doubt is not really truly us. It's just what we are conditioned with, okay? So this training, I'm sure, will be of great benefit to you. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you in any of my next videos and trainings. Namaste. Okay, Claudia also has the same question as Venetia. Yeah. Good. I will definitely be covering that, because a lot of yoga teachers and lifestyle entrepreneurs and people in the service industry, particularly who have a business of giving to other people, tend to suffer with this. Hi Zaina, nice to see you. Tend to suffer with this exact issue: overexhaustion, running around too much, feeling like they're constantly drained, and how can they diversify their business to not be stuck in that endless cycle. So that's definitely something that we're going to be covering in these 5 days. I just want to give it a few more minutes, because I know that people generally take a bit of time to arrive. Yeah, so just giving it a few more minutes before I start officially. And in the meantime, if you have any specific questions, like anything you want to ask during today's session, you can just drop the question in the comment box, and I will be answering questions as I go. Okay, so I will be spending proper time on each and every question that I get, so that you will get a direct answer from me. Okay, so I guess, give it 2 more minutes and then we'll start. I can't really see who's on the call and who's not. I can only see those who post in the chat box. So if you post, I'll know that you're here, and if you have questions, I'll be answering them immediately. All right, so I guess I'll just get started, and those who still drip in to join, they will. So welcome everybody to this 5-day free business training that I do several times a year to help people on their way to create a purposeful career. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and something that took me a long time to figure out. I had quite a challenging path in discovering my purpose and developing a profitable career out of that, which still honors the ethics that I have as, someone who wants to help people. But in the end, I cracked the code, and I'm now the owner of a multiple 6-figure yoga brand, which allows me lots of freedom, lots of travel, financial abundance, and at the same time, a greatly rewarding career in which I really feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives. So I'm a yoga teacher by profession, but that doesn't mean that any of these principles that I'm going to teach in this 5-day training are only useful for yoga teachers. These principles are useful for everyone who is in the lifestyle industry, whether you're a coach or a meditation teacher or a fitness instructor or a yoga teacher or a course creator or anyone who's basically in the lifestyle or service industry, and anyone with a purpose who wants to make a contribution to society and to their community, this training will be useful for, okay? So don't think it's only for yoga teachers, but a lot of yoga teachers do join because obviously that's my main market, yeah? So in today's session, we're going to talk about the roadmap to a purposeful career. And what that means, or what I basically want to cover in today's session, is looking a little bit into what gives us meaning as people, and how when we don't do anything of meaning most of the time, we get stuck in very destructive and negative patterns. So a lot of people work in jobs that they dislike and that give them a lot of stress, anxiety, negative thought patterns, and they're basically stuck in it because they think that they have to be there, right? They think that this is the only option, and they think that, you know, the only way to make money is to be in a 9-to-5 or 9-to-6 job that they actually dislike. And we've noticed, especially in the last year, that being an employee doesn't give us any more guarantees, because when this whole COVID thing happened, all of a sudden people's salaries got cut. All of a sudden we are subject to so many regulations. We have no say in a lot of things. I've even heard from people working in certain jobs that they will be forced to, you know, do certain things, vaccinations, health tests, and whether you agree with it or not, some people might not agree with it. So being an employee is not a very secure place anymore at the moment. And I just want to ask, for anyone who's here, who is currently still working a day job, or who's currently still working in something that they actually don't really enjoy, but they're just there because they feel like that's their only option. So if you do, you can just let me know in the chat box so that I know who I'm dealing with, and then I know that some of you are already out of that and you're already doing what you love, and I know some of you are just getting educated to do what you love, but just for me to know, yeah? So anyway, we've established that being an employee is probably not the best thing in the world anymore. We are not really secure. We can lose our jobs at any times. But then, you know, working in something that you're passionate about, a lot of people do not believe that that is actually something that can make them money. Right? So when I became a yoga teacher, and I know that a lot of people have heard this one before, when I became a yoga teacher, many people said to me, oh, but you know, as a yoga teacher, you're just gonna be kind of like a hippie. You're gonna have this like minimal lifestyle, and that's all you can really do, because you can't really build a career out of yoga. And then guess what? 10 years later, I'm making more money than my high school friends who are doctors and lawyers. So there we go. And that's not to brag, but that's to say that I actually never believed that statement, that there's no money to be made in yoga, or that there's no money to be made in something that you're passionate about. And I think that's one of the really, thanks Christina. So you're still in a full-time job, and this full-time job is something you enjoy or you don't like it. Something I also would like to know. So where was I? Sorry, I just lost track of my strain of thoughts. Okay, so basically one of the first things that we will need to change if we want to build a purposeful career, and if we want to be successful in that, is the belief system that we cannot make money, or that we will not be successful in doing that. And most of the times that belief system comes from our upbringing and what we heard when we were younger, or maybe what our parents believed, because a lot of the times, I know with my parents, you know, they wanted me to become doctors, or a doctor or a lawyer, or I definitely wasn't allowed to be an artist or an actress. And there was a very strong belief system ingrained in me growing up that making money with doing something I loved wasn't really an option, and I had to go according to the norms of society, right? So a lot of people still believe this, and even though you might have never thought about this, or you might have not been aware of this belief system, it exists in a lot of us. It exists in a lot of us. So that's one of the first things that we need to start looking at when we want to make a change and when we want to start building a purposeful career. Now, just FYI, there's a lot of people, and I know many of them, who manage to build 6, 7, and 8-figure brands out of their passion and purpose. Now, I'm not saying that 6, 7, or 8 figures is the end all to happiness. In fact, research has shown that when we make up to $150,000 a year net, our happiness levels significantly improve. But any money that we make after that generally doesn't really affect our happiness anymore. So this kind of tells us that, yeah, that's a good amount to aim for, right? $150,000, $200,000 a year as an income is a great income to live by. But more importantly, that money that we make, I personally always feel that it gives me much more joy if I make it in a way that is true to my heart. And if I make it in a way where I don't abandon my own value system. And I think a lot of the times people who do work in jobs, I've met a lot, I get a lot of people into my courses, and obviously many friends and people who speak to me about this all the time, and people I coach, that they feel that when they work in something that they haven't really put their heart and soul into, it doesn't give them the same level of satisfaction, and the money kind of becomes it becomes a bit unimportant. It's like, yeah, whatever, but I'm not happy, so is it worth it? Yeah, that's a question a lot of people ask themselves. So anyway, we're living in strange times. I think a lot of people are dealing with much more fear than they were dealing with before. This is also a truth. A lot of people might at the moment feel that it's not the right time to start a business. People might have not so much money to spend. Is it the right time to go solo or to do something? I would be stupid to give up my job right now. Lots of thoughts that go through people's heads. But I think personally, and my experience is that once we find our passion and purpose, and once we really decide that that's what we want to go for, and we are truly aligned with that which it is that we are meant to be doing in this world, the outside circumstances don't really make that much of an impact anymore. So that's usually something that we hide behind as an excuse to say, okay, I cannot do this now because I don't have enough savings, and because the economy is in a bad state and COVID is happening, XYZ, XYZ. There are so many things that we come up with, right? But generally, the universe will fully support you if you decide to really commit to this journey of entrepreneurship and making a difference in the lives of others, because that is in the end what the world really needs. And that's also why we were born. We were not born here to sacrifice our happiness for money, and we were not born here to sacrifice our happiness for sitting in an office every single day and wondering, why are we doing this? Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's not why you were born. You were born to have an extraordinary experience, and you were born to make a difference in the lives of others. And everyone does that in their own way. It doesn't mean that everyone has to become a business owner or an entrepreneur. Some people make a difference in the lives of others by doing community work, volunteering, having children, adopting children, taking care of children, taking care of animals. I mean, there's so many ways in which we can make a difference. It doesn't have to be through entrepreneurship. But since you are all on this call, I can assume that you are looking to do something for yourself and to do something that is more rewarding than you're currently doing. And some of you I know, obviously, because you're my students, and I know that you are actually looking for a career change and you are tired of certain aspects of your current life. So having said all that, I would like to know if by now you have any specific questions about what I just talked about, and giving you some space to type something in the chat box, and then I will continue talking more about limiting beliefs when it comes to starting our own business, how we can overcome those, and what it means to be really successful as a purpose-driven entrepreneur. Okay, what it means for your life, what your life can look like if this is the case. So we're going to be chatting about a lot of stuff, but I would like to see some questions so that I can also answer you in between topics. I think it's a bit delayed and a bit slow. Okay, Christina says, I don't enjoy my work as much as I used to. Yeah, okay, so this is a trend. A lot of people have that feeling, you know, that they're not enjoying it that much, or that they don't feel challenged, or that they don't feel rewarded anymore by their job. It's normal. It's normal. Sometimes it goes with time, and sometimes this means that you need to make a change. So Christina, are you also studying to be a yoga teacher, or do you have another passion? Lisa says, I'm still working my 9-to-5 job that I would like to leave in the next year or two and pursue my yoga teaching career full time. We are well on the way with that, aren't we? Which business requires zero investment? Okay, so that's a good one to start about. So I started my yoga brand with zero investment, nothing, no money whatsoever. But I started very small, okay? So I opened a school in the UAE 6 years ago, and 5.5, like we're going on into 6 years. But before that, I was working as a private instructor. When I opened my school, I did not need any funding for that. The only thing that I needed for opening up my school was paying for my license, my trade license. But I only paid for my trade license once I made the money with my first course. So I think that very often we think that a business needs to have like this huge initial investment, but actually it doesn't. If you have a good following, people that know about you, and you basically consolidate your knowledge into something that those people can benefit from, you don't really need any money to start, or actually very, very little. You might need a little bit of money for some flyers or promotion or some marketing, like online marketing, but it's not absolutely necessary. You can start with very, very little. So yeah, that would be my answer. That's pretty much it. And I actually advise entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, people who are working for themselves, to not start businesses with huge investments, because it might backfire and you might put so much stress on yourself because of that money put into the business, and the stress that you need to make it back immediately. It might give you not the right energy to be working with. So my first business, I started it with nothing. Then when I made plenty of money with it, I invested quite a huge chunk of money into my second business, which is a clothing brand. And I did that with my own investment. Obviously, a clothing brand needs investment because you have to produce. But if you're in the lifestyle industry, so if you're a teacher or a coach or a public speaker or anyone who does anything in the service industry, you don't necessarily need money to start a brand. You can just build it from scratch, as I did. Does that make sense? Okay, and then the next question is, how do you recommend reconditioning the belief pattern that you need a steady set amount of income per month? Well, again, I think, you have to be a little bit bold to begin with, because when I came to the UAE, I keep always telling this story because it's a bit of a crazy story, but I came with nothing and I didn't have any job set up for me. But I just felt in my heart that things would work out for me, and I was also willing to put in the work to have things work out for me. So I think this idea that we need a regular monthly income is also of course we need a good income, right? But eventually you will get that if you work hard and if you stabilize your business. In the beginning it might not be as much as you would like, but that's the part of the entrepreneurship journey as well, that the first 3 years you're probably just building to get to the income where you want to be. You do, however, have to wonder if you keep wasting your energy in a job that gives you that income but doesn't give you any nourishment, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Where will you find the time to build that other business that you really want to build? So the universe will always support you. I remember when I was here in Dubai, I literally had nothing in the first like couple of months. And then they offered me a job at one of these big beach clubs as a trainer and a yoga teacher. And it would give me a steady monthly income, but it wasn't my dream. And I went to the job interview, and really I had nothing. Like, I was minus in my bank account. I went to the job interview and I sat at that table, and I really felt like so much disgust towards it. And I was like, no, this is not what I came here for. Like, I came with a different dream. So I'm going to trust that this dream is going to take shape. And I said no to the job, and very soon after I met my first client, and that's when everything started to take off. So I also believe that sometimes you have to be bold enough to say no to certain things, even though you have no guarantee that something else will come, but you know in your heart that this is not the right thing for you, right? So that's I think how I would approach this belief that I need a steady amount of income. Good to have some savings when you start so that you don't feel too stressed, but you don't need it. And I never had it. So, and I really didn't have it. Like, I really had nothing, zero. So that's what I'm saying. And just to show you how fast things can go, I mean, I've been here in the UAE for 8 years. I came when I was 28. I'm 36 now. The first 2 years I worked as a private instructor, and I was just making a decent income. But it came with a lot of problems that Venetia also pointed out. So I will answer that soon. So being a private teacher had a lot of issues. But when I started my school, within 2 years, the first year I made 5 figures on my first course. The second year I made 6 figures on my new course. Then I launched in another city. Then I launched in Bali. In the meantime, I was able to invest a big chunk of money into my own clothing brand. I bought my own property. I live a very comfortable life financially, and it just all changed in the blink of an eye because I believed in my dream. So this magic moment can happen for everyone, not just for me. I mean, I worked really hard. I do have to tell you that I worked relentlessly on my dreams. I didn't give up. I didn't stop, even in the times where most people probably would have said, no, I'm done. I'm going to leave. It's not going to work out. But I was like, no, I'm committed to this, and I'm going to see it through. And this kind of mentality, I always call it this pit bull mentality. Like, you have to just bite yourself into something and not stop until you actually get it done and get the results. Now, the only problem is that when you don't really believe in what you're doing, or where you don't really know your whys, like, why am I actually doing this? Sometimes you can get severely demotivated because it's not an easy journey. I mean, no one said it was easy. And then you might give up too soon. So establishing those whys and those values, and really knowing, like, why am I doing this? And is it the right reason? Am I really here to do this? Something very important. And there are certain processes to do that. And I teach all those processes in another course that I give, because it's a bit too much to teach here in a free training. But yeah, it's important to establish within yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I here? What's my purpose? What's my true purpose on this planet? And I think once you do establish that and you build your business based on those values and purposes, you can't really go wrong, and you are somewhat guaranteed success. That's what I believe, and that's what I've seen in my own life. Okay, so next question. How to be brave enough to start. I feel I'm not confident enough. How to increase the necessary self-esteem to start a business. So thank you, Claudia. I keep my price too low because I do not trust my value enough. Well, that's already a very good starting point. So you already have a lot of awareness on why you do certain things and why you feel certain things. So I keep my price too low because I do not trust my value enough. This is an issue for a lot of people. This is not only related to self-value, but also relationship to money most of the time, and comfortability with charging a decent price. I spoke about this a few days ago. There's usually a lot of guilt and shame around the topic of money, and we're going to actually cover that. We're going to do a full evening on money on day 3. So tomorrow we're going to talk about manifestation, and on day 3 we're going to talk about the abundance mindset and what you actually need to adjust in your mind in order to have a better relationship with money and in order to attract the clients that see your value, etc., etc. So it's going to be a whole session. So how to build self-esteem? Well, again, so here again, I believe very firmly in purpose. I believe that if we know our purpose and we're truly convinced that this is what we're meant to do, this self-esteem almost comes on its own. It's like, it's a given because you're so sure, right? You know, like, this is what I want to do and this is what I love and I have something of value that I can bring to others. Now, then obviously we need to work on minor aspects of our self-esteem. How do I present myself? How do I speak? How do I not doubt myself all the time? How do I not doubt the process of being an entrepreneur and starting a business? How do I deal with setbacks, etc., etc.? Also all related to self-esteem. But the initial self-esteem as to what am I meant to do, and who am I and what am I meant to bring to people. I think that's something that you really need to figure out if you want to feel confident in what you're doing. Most successful people that I know feel really convinced of their purpose. Okay, so I know, for instance, with my school, that I am meant to teach people all these spiritual values and help to empower them to be more self-reliant. And I use yoga as a tool, and for me yoga is a very powerful tool. But in the end, I'm convinced that I'm here to bring that to people. Empowerment, self-reliance, financial success, physical health, inspiration. So I'm convinced of my purpose, right? So I don't really have to question it too much because I know that that's what I'm meant to do. Now, I also have moments that I get a bit, oh, wow, is this right? Should I be doing this? Of course, everybody has that, especially when you're growing your business. You're going to have those moments of self-doubt. And then I think it comes back to knowing how your mind works and reprogramming your belief systems and shifting into a place of gratitude at all times. Yeah, because in the end we have a lot to be grateful for, right? So I think that's gratitude humbles us as well and takes away a lot of the should I be doing this, is this right, XYZ, this and that. So I hope that was helpful in the sense of confidence. Deciding on your purpose and knowing your purpose on a very deep level is the #1 way to be confident about what you're doing. That's you can just write that down, because I think that's something very important to remember. Okay, who inspired me when you started to build your business? I was inspired by a yoga teacher that I met on a trip to Bali. And she was traveling the whole world, making $20,000 a month from her yoga videos. And she very much inspired me. Her name is Dashima. She's still doing very well as a teacher, still traveling the whole world, still selling videos and making programs. And I don't know, I looked at her and I thought, yeah, that's what I want. I wanna be so financially independent and stable. I wanna run trainings in Bali. I wanna set up a school here. I wanna go there. She was a big inspiration to me, but I've also always been very inspired by other type of entrepreneurs. Like Tony Robbins and people along those likes, who are not necessarily in the yoga industry, but who have been very successful in doing something that is of value to others. You know, Tony Robbins is such a great entrepreneur and such a great teacher. So yeah, that's it for inspiration. And then Christina is saying, for now, my plan is to build a yoga, fitness and lifestyle business next to my full-time job and slowly decrease my working hours in my full-time job. Yeah, so that's not a bad idea, especially if you know that unstable financial situations are going to stress you out. Okay, so if that's the case, then it's not a bad idea to mix and match. But just know that you will also need to focus a lot on building your yoga, fitness, and lifestyle business. And sometimes when you do have this full-time job, you might not have that focus or the time. Because now, for instance, I see with my clothing brand that it needs a lot of time, and I am usually very, very preoccupied with my yoga business and then doing these trainings. So I don't always have the time to spend on it, right? Because we only have so many hours in a day. And work does take up a lot of those hours. So you just have to weigh the pros and cons, right? So something that I wanted to tell you or talk about today is that when you start, so when I started the journey of entrepreneurship, and especially starting my school, I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. In the first 2 years especially, I did a lot of things that, looking back on it now, I wish I could have avoided by having someone who was pointing out to me, okay, this is probably not such a good idea. This is something that you should be doing, not this, not that. I learned it all as I went ahead with it. And it slowed me down a bit. It slowed me down because I had to figure out everything on my own. And this is actually why I started running these trainings, because I realized that, a lot of people just don't have anyone to give them feedback on what they're doing. So yeah, that's pretty much why I'm here. And I really hope that these 5 days will help you to avoid some of the mistakes that I made and do some of the things that I did really well, because obviously I did a lot of things really well. Otherwise I wouldn't have been as successful as I am today. Yes, okay, Christina, you realized that already. It's okay. Like I said, you will see it as you go. So any more questions? If you have questions, just type them in. Type them in. Okay, so I'll just take you through what we're going to be doing in the next 5 days, so you know a little bit what I'm covering every time. I'm also going to post all the replays on the group so you can watch the call again. So today we're basically talking about the roadmap to a purposeful career. So speaking about overcoming objection, I shared a little bit about my story and the proof of the fact that you can be very successful building a career out of your dreams. Now, with that, I do want to say that nowadays that everyone is on the internet speaking about making 6 and 7 figures, and everywhere you go, people talk about being a coach or a successful entrepreneur, etc., etc. But I just want to emphasize that a lot of people are not very authentic in that. So they might tell you 6 or 7 figures, but what does it really mean? So I don't like to make money the main focus of my talks, because it's not. I believe a lot in doing things that are purposeful, and I believe a lot in making a difference for others. In the end, money is important. So when I talk about 6 figures, I talk about 6 figures in pure profit from my business, okay? So that means $100,000 plus. In my case, it's multiple 6 figures. But that is what 6 figures in profit means. A lot of coaches might tell you, or a lot of yoga teachers, or whoever is successful might tell you, oh, I made 6 figures this year. But is it really true? Like, have they really done that authentically? Or is it just maybe something to draw in people? I think it's really important to be authentic as a teacher and as a coach. And I think it's also very important for you guys to tune into your intuition when you do trainings like this, or when you study with people who are offering trainings or coaching, that you tune into your intuition and feel whether these people are actually genuinely trying to help you, or if they're just trying to sell you a coaching package. Okay, so that's something that I always feel is very important. I believe that in the service industry and in the industry of helping other people, we need to be very authentic and very true to our word, especially because there's so much noise out there, right? So when I talk about my own successes, I'm talking about my business profits, so multiple 6 figures in profits for several years, the purpose that I feel when I do my work, and the contribution that I make to other people's lives. And until today, I still get messages from my students from 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ago saying, oh my God, you changed, or your course, I don't really want to credit it to me only, but your course really changed my life. I'm now doing this, I'm now doing that, this has changed for me, this has changed for me, I feel so much better, etc., etc. So that's something that is priceless, right? Like no money can compensate for receiving such messages. This is a fact. So that's what I mean with purposeful. Like I believe in doing good things for people. Anyway, so that's the inspirational story in the sense that it's possible. You can build a business based on your dreams. You can 100% make a lot of money living your passion. You can 1000% make your dreams a reality if you believe in them. And in order to do that, we really have to start looking at our belief systems that we have about money, work, steady incomes, what is possible to make money with, all that stuff that we learned when we were younger and we weren't really aware of, and the stuff that society is still ingraining in us on a daily basis. Okay, so next 5 days, tomorrow we're going to talk about manifestation and how the process of manifestation is very important in starting a purposeful business. A lot of coaches will talk about marketing. They will say, oh, you need to run Facebook ads. You will need to post this on Instagram, and you will need to do this and this and this. But I believe it starts somewhere else, okay? I don't believe it starts with Facebook ads. I don't believe it starts with marketing. I believe it starts with alignment, it starts with intention, and it starts with the right action. So when I first opened my school, I did not advertise anywhere, nowhere. I only had a website. I didn't do Facebook advertising. I didn't do Instagram advertising. And I had 17 people sign up for my very first course, okay? 17 people paid me $3,500 for that course without knowing me, it was a new brand, but it happened, I believe, because I had the right intention behind what I was doing, and I did the right actions in order to manifest those people. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Then day 3 is going to be my favorite day, honestly. It's going to be about the abundance mindset, and we're going to talk a lot about money mentality and how our belief systems, especially around money, can cause us to really stay behind or be much slower when it comes to generating a good income. This is especially very valid for those who are in the yoga industry. Yoga industry has a lot of guilt, shame, and fear around money. So super important topic to talk about, but it's useful for everyone, okay? Day 4, we're going to talk about leading with value and building your tribe. So how can you actually be authentic in your message and communicate that consistently so that people will find you based on your alignment? You vibrate on the same level, right? So how do you build a tribe of people? And I will also talk a bit about how to market in that day and how to actually share that message to a larger audience. So definitely also going to be part of it. And in the last day, we're going to talk about clarity, confidence, and community, and basically tie everything together, okay? And yeah, that's it for these days. And by day 5, I will also open, I do that every 3 months, I open my business course for the public for 2 days. So hopefully you will, you might be inspired to really, invest in having the right knowledge to start your business when you graduate from your teacher training course or anything you're doing currently. I honestly wish that I had taken some sort of business course when I first started. I didn't, and that's why I really got a bit slowed down. But that's aside from this training and not necessarily a part of it, but it will open on day 5. So I want to know if you have any questions about today. Important to mention that every day we go between about 45 minutes to an hour. Let's see how we go. Let's see how many people ask questions. And the last 10 minutes of the last 5 to 10 minutes of the call are going to be purely questions. And whoever asked the question, the other people obviously will also benefit, because usually this is stuff that everyone thinks about and everyone wants to know about. So make sure to also stick around for the questions. And I'm really going to give you as much information as I can in the next couple of days. I'm going to be giving you my all. I'm going to answer all the questions you have. I'm going to be speaking here for free for the next 5 days. So I really hope from your side that you're going to be committed to completing these 5 days so that you can also get the best out of it, and that we can really work together as a team to help you on your way to be a successful entrepreneur. So let me know if you have any questions for now. And I'm curious to read them. And in the meantime, while people might be typing out their questions, I'm also going to give you some homework for tomorrow. So every day, yes, I have a huge team, and I'm going to tell you that now. So every day there is a homework assignment for you guys. It's not big, like you won't have to spend hours on it, but it's going to help you to get more out of this training. And the homework assignment for tomorrow, before I answer Larissa's question, is before tomorrow, so before tomorrow 7:30, write down maybe half a page on what you would absolutely 100% want to manifest in 2021. So the first half of 2021. Like what absolutely 1000% is something that you want to create in the next 6 months, because we're ending the year soon. Thank God, hallelujah, the year is nearly over. But what do you want to manifest in the first half of 2021? So tomorrow we can have a little chat about that, because tomorrow we will talk about intention and action and manifestation. So that will be perfectly in line with the topic of tomorrow. So Larissa is asking, do you have a team helping me in my business? Actually, I have a huge team. I have a lot of people who support me. I have about 8 to 10 employees. Some of them are freelancers that support me in my courses, but they are with me since a long time. So some of them have been with me since the beginning, and some are new. But 8 to 10 people consistently working to support me. I would never be able to do what I'm doing without that support. I'm absolutely impossible. I would be exhausted all the time. So yeah, I have a good team, and that's also something in the beginning of my business that I didn't know that I needed that. So I did everything on my own. I did everything alone. I also didn't have the financial setup, to pay people. But again, you don't actually need that. And that's something that I also discovered at a later age, because a lot of the time people can work as freelancers or profit shares or whatever. And that's also something I teach in my online course, by the way, how to train a team and how to give a lot of value to people without actually necessarily always paying them. So I have sometimes people working in my business that take my teacher trainings and that work for me for a year with the greatest dedication and feeling like they get a lot of value, because I actually coach them privately and teach them how to do everything that I've done. So you don't always need money to create a team. And sometimes you do have to pay someone, obviously, because they want to be paid. And that's also totally normal and fine, and you can. But yeah, I have about 8 to 10 people working for me consistently and constantly. And I only, at this stage, I'm only involved in the organization of my business. So the planning, the creation, branching out to other markets and new countries, hosting these trainings myself, and then obviously working on my clothing brand, which is a completely new brand that also asks me to be involved. But my yoga school is, I would say, 60 to 70% run by others. Yeah. And training a team from day one, very important, very important. And there are some very important skills that you will need in order to do that. And Larissa, what is your business, or what are you currently doing, or what are you planning to do? Yes, Eva, thank you as well for being here. Any more questions, just hit them in the chat box, and I will be having a few more minutes to answer them for today. And once we finish that, I will be seeing you again tomorrow. So let's see if there's any more questions. going through the chat. I also just, I remember that Venetia asked that she wants to diversify and that she feels like she's just running around all the time. And that's another issue that a lot of solopreneurs face, that they are just constantly doing everything themselves. And that's why it's so important to actually train people to do your job so that you can slowly step back and have other people do exactly what you do. And you can diversify, but more than anything, you can expand your current business, because diversifying also means that you have to again learn another skill and do something else. But if you simply train people to do what you do, you don't have to diversify, and you can utilize your current client base, but you can have other people make you money, which is something that I think is the best way, right, for any business owner. So that's something that we'll talk about as well. Maybe tomorrow we'll do that. And exactly, that running around is overwhelming and is exhausting. And I shared about that yesterday on my IG story, saying that in the beginning of my school, I used to do everything myself. And then I realized after 1 year burning out, I was like, no, this is not going to happen. I actually deserve to, sit on a tropical island while I make money. So let me train people. So aside from me training people, it also had a lot to do with what I felt I deserved. I was just tired of it. I was tired of being tired and of working so hard. And the more I do this, the more I realize that actually I can do less and make more. I can do less and make more. And most of the time we are also very conditioned by society and by all these entrepreneur people to think that we need to do more in order to get more. But it's not really true. It's also just a belief system. You can work smart and you don't necessarily always have to work until exhaustion, running around the city, teaching everything, doing everything. Why? For what reason? But that's also a bit of a journey, right? Like, it's a journey of self-worth, it's a journey of self-love, it's a journey of discovery, it's a journey of learning what is possible as a business owner, and not only a passionate teacher or doing something you're passionate about. Most yoga teachers have zero business skills. Most coaches or people who do anything in the service industry have never taken any courses in business. So no wonder that you are confused and exhausted, because you don't have the knowledge, right? So I had a bit of a slight advantage, which is I come from an entrepreneurial family. So I grew up seeing my dad he was very successful, and I benefited from that in the sense that I saw how successful he was and what he did. And how he built a business based on his passion. He never necessarily taught me, and I did leave my house when I was 17, and I did take care of myself from that age onwards. But I think those first years, growing up and seeing someone building a business out of his passion did influence me in a way. And it also made me kind of fearless, because my dad, in that sense, there's a lot of things to say about him, but he was fearless in pursuing his dreams. So I think that is my advantage. When I started, I also had zero business knowledge, and looking back on it, I really wish that I would have known a little bit more about business, because it would have made my process much smoother. There's just certain principles that kind of need to be in place in order for you to really nail it in the beginning, okay? And otherwise it will go up and down, and something might work and something might not work, or you might make ends meet all the time. You might feel exhausted all the time, but there are solutions to that, right? So there is actually solutions to that. Hello. Okay, wait a second. So many questions. Okay, Nidal, I'm gonna post this replay on the Facebook group, so don't worry about that. And Zaina, which part of your business you enjoy most or closer to your heart? Okay, the most important part for me, and that just got reaffirmed again during the lockdown period, is the authentic connection that I have to my students. So I don't necessarily like to teach like thousands of people at the same time. I love to know that I made a difference in people's lives by being very closely connected to them. So that's something that I really enjoy in my school. Walking into my trainings and feeling so connected to every single person in that room, and knowing that I've really made a difference for them. And with the years, that really that feeling really increased. Like I find it more and more and more enjoyable. So yeah, that's the most, that's the part of my business that I enjoy most. And then that's for my yoga business. So now for my clothing brand, I love the part of being creative. I love designing. I love choosing fabrics and colors. I love doing something completely new and challenging. So those are things that I really enjoy in my clothing brand. And with this, my business coaching and courses, I love hearing from my students that, you know, just because of a few handy tips that I gave them, they were able to launch their business within a significant amount of time. They were able to create a good team. They were able to make XYZ amount of money. So that's also something I really, really enjoy. And that generally happens through these online trainings and my online course. So yeah, all in all, I do a lot of things at the same time. I don't have much time for Netflix, but it's great, it's rewarding, and I hope only to do more. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Okay, great. Nidal, don't worry, I'm gonna post a replay now, and tomorrow night we will be here again at 7:30. There's a little bit of a homework assignment. I already told everyone, but I would like you to just hear it again, because I know sometimes we miss things. So for tomorrow, you will need to write down, or if you want, obviously, because there's no obligations, but it will help you, write down half a page on what you would absolutely like to manifest in the first half of 2021. And tomorrow, our session is going to be about action and intention, creating manifestation, and how we do that. So how we basically manifest our reality based on the right intentions and the right actions, and how that is really one of the first things you need to know when you start a business. So I think you need to know how to set the right intentions and what actions you need to take in order to manifest your reality, and not necessarily how to market on Facebook, because that's not always the way forward. Okay, so that's what we'll do tomorrow.